Yo, yo, Kyber Cave Productions family, what's up? How are you?
Ah! I'm so happy you're home.
I'm happy to be home.
Man,
If
you
you
had
guys didn't know,
quite
I was
an
gone.
adventure.
I did. I
That
had
way,
a very long adventure and week.
you-
For those who did not know, Sunday. So we didn't get to have a show on Sunday night, and that's fine. The guest ended up being sick, and so we will have to reschedule that guest, and it will work out just fine. But I wasn't going to be there in the first place. Why wasn't I going to be there? Well, Sunday morning, my husband and I went to church slash work, as we usually do, and our children, unbeknownst to them, did not know that we had a Disneyland trip surprise planned. And so we went to church, acted like normal, and then we got to the car, and I made a video that was like those Disney movie theme openings. Shows the castle, and then in font it said, "Our last name goes to Disneyland," in Disney font and everything. So, and my kids were just so surprised, excited, and we were leaving right that moment. And so we got to spend Monday through Friday at the park. Thursday was my birthday, so I got to have some fun stuff, and I got some nerdy stuff. Right, this is my Spider Gwen sweatshirt. I loved
I
the
absolutely
colors.
love it.
And then I got myself a Scarlet Witch bag. Purse, and I love that as very much. My children got some cool stuff. You'll see a lot of it all next week. I'm going to have a special report for you from Galaxy's Edge and everything, talking about what we did there and how cool that place is. And so that's mostly it about that. I want to make sure we say hi to Ciaz Nabel and Jonathan Knock, and hello, Kyber K family, Duran Duran. I hope you're
What's
all
up,
doing well.
Duran? Hey,
Yes.
I want to let you guys know really early and really often. We've been talking about this. We've been kind of putting this together. Next year is going to be an exciting year. My goal for this channel is 10,000 subs by the end of the year. I really think we can. We're 75% of the way there already, right? So I think momentum will pick up. We're going to be out there more on the road. But to kick that off, I am very excited to announce. Marissa and I have been talking about it. But KCP will be out on the road. If you would like to meet some of the producers of Kyber K Productions, if you have any questions or you have suggestions or things you want to see or just want to come and talk and hang out with us, your good friend and lovely producer Mez there will be one of the producers there. Dave says he's gonna be out there, and if you remember, we used to have a show. We had a show about a year ago called Kyber Cave After Dark. That ran for about a year, and if you haven't seen it, you can check down in our what do you call that? Playlist. Thank you.
Yeah.
And check Kyber Cave After Dark. Dave, one of our former producers, will also be there, and we're trying to round up other people. Kev, I'm hoping to see Kevin Hogan, my main man. I'm hoping he'll be there, and Ron. If you have not, by the way, I want to say, if you have not had a chance to check out the new multiverse of cosplay show that we have on Kyber K Productions, I highly encourage you. We had Ron on as a guest, 2 weeks ago, I believe that was Mets.
Yes, it was.
His brand new show is absolutely. He's got 3 episodes up right now, so you can check those out. Each episode's about 10 minutes. They're really short, but they're absolutely fantastic. I'm excited about the new content that we're gonna have coming out this year. You're going to see much more of KCP out on the road, and we'll be getting more content out on the road as well. You'll get to do more meet and greets with some of the hosts of KCP, so it is going to be an exciting 2025 for us all. Hopefully we'll be coming to a town near you.
You shall see. Van's wanting me at more cons, and I'm kind of like,
Yes.
I'm that person that never thinks anybody will know who I am. Maybe.
I'm telling you, okay, everybody in the chat, you got to let her know too. I am telling you, I thought exactly the same thing until I actually got out there and got into towns and people were like, we follow your channel. And I was like, I don't even know who you are.
If you watch our channel and you see me here right now, please say in the comments, even if it's the upload, "Hi Mezzo," and I will say hi back to you. And you can follow me on all socials. I have Twitter, I have Blue Sky now, and Instagram, and I also will be streaming on my personal Twitch very soon. In like 2 weeks, I've come back to my own personal channel at MezzoJD. Okay, that was just a shameless plug.
Remind the galaxy when and where is the happening. Oh, okay. Sorry. Really quickly, December 6th in Sacramento, Citrus Heights, specifically. I can't remember the exact address, but it's called the Sunrise Mall.
Sunrise Event Mall. Yes.
Event, right? Okay.
I'm like pretty sure it's on Sunrise Boulevard.
Correct. Thank you. It's like
I lived in Citrus Heights for a year.
Okay. Well, maybe you should be telling us. Hey, Raph, what's up? Hey, Night Vision. So we will have a booth there. So Kyber Cave will have a booth, and right next to us, Kyber Cave Productions will have a booth. I'm really excited about that. And if you come out, we'll be giving away a Saber that night, or actually, Metz will be giving away a Saber that night.
Yes,
she'll be talking to all the fans. Maybe we'll have some interviews with you on here. So
yes,
Sunrise
it's very
Mall, the big
exciting.
mall.
So I'm looking forward to meeting any of you that come to the mall and say hi. I will be there and saying hi, taking pictures, whatever you want. If you just want to chat.
I'm saying she needs to get some headshots so she can sign autographs.
He wants me to get headshots to sign autographs, and I'm kind of like, nobody.
My brain
goes, nobody knows. My brain goes, nobody knows who you are, and I don't know if it's just my brain.
If you don't put it out there.
I'm going to come and I'm going to be there, and I will say hi to everybody. But my brain goes, autographs, me. My brain is. I don't know if it's just me trying to. Even whether it's me not realizing or it's just I really don't find... I'm just one of those people that don't find myself like, huge or whatever. Kevin Mezzo going to be on microphone with rolling cart narrating what people shopping for. It's going to be lit. Yo, everybody, dude. Mezzo here from Kyber Cave Productions showing you what we are all going to be having here for you at the Kyber Cave booth.
That's not a bad idea. Dude, no, seriously. Okay, so it's from 4 to 8. It's a short event. It's from 4 to 8 in Sacramento. But it is a night market / laser light show / car show. So there's something for everybody there. There's shopping, there's laser lights, there's cars, and of course, lightsabers and KCP. What else do you need?
Yeah, exactly. What else?
And it's a free event. It is a no-cost event. So come hang out with us. Come check it out. Come check out the laser lights and the cars and all the fun stuff. The night marketing. You can even get all your sales done. Night market in Sacramento. I've never done a night market, so I'm excited. Near the bar. Okay, somebody seems to know quite a lot about this event.
It's CS Mabel. And if you're there, CS Mabel, I want to say hi. But first, we need to move on and carry on with our information that we do have for our show. And what's the first thing we always do?
Nerdy news!
The nerdy news. First on the nerdy news. Star Wars...
music?
I played it.
Sorry. Did you? Oh!
Okay.
Seriously, I just now heard it.
I know. I played it again. That's why. All right. Star Wars trilogy deal. Lucasfilm taps Simon Kinberg to write and produce. Lucasfilm has closed a deal with Simon Kinberg to develop a trilogy of Star Wars films. Kinberg will write the trio and produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy. Kinberg previously worked with Lucasfilm in co-creating with Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck the Emmy-nominated animated series Star Wars Rebels. Kinberg also produced movies such as The Martian, Logan, and the Deadpool series. And so you may have not always heard his name, but you have seen work he has been involved with. So that's going to be a very interesting trio of trilogy or whatever he is exactly coming up with. This is a trilogy. And we'll see what exactly he's coming up with. When is it taking place? Is it after?
I think this is an appropriate comment right here.
But will it actually happen?
Okay,
so
here's the
that's
thing.
Really funny.
There's been Lucasfilm seems to have this habit of announcing things that never seem to come to fruition.
That's
the next story. Just to make people happy in the short term. Okay, go ahead.
A guide to every upcoming Star Wars project, alive or dead. That's why I found it really funny. All right, so Both alive and dead, this guide will give you all you need to know on what Star Wars projects are still currently alive and still being pursued, and what projects have been shelved or tossed. So check both of these stories out to find the information. I will put them in the chat right now, but if you are watching the upload, you can see them in the show notes below in the description. I found that really funny that, like, oh, is it actually going to happen? I'm like, actually, I have the next story for you that will really go well with that.
Nice.
So that is your nerdy news for the evening.
Dun, dun.
Next week, you'll still have nerdy news, but after our interview, you'll have with Guess That Character, you'll have a special segment of me talking about my trip to Galaxy's Edge from me going to Disney this week. Excuse me. We also have a producer here on our show named James Kaiser, aka Darth Cephalus.
Yes.
Who gives us the flow of the show every week. Now, this is me trying to fast think. When I went to go play the intro video, I realized that the flow would have been the one that I made for tonight and not the one last week that would have been in the intro. And I was going to play last week's this week, but I was like, realize I need to play this week, and play last week's next week because I have to move all the videos around. This is how Metso thinks when she's running a show. All right, so
I was trying to give a visual interpretation of what your brain had to do to move things
literally
from this week to that week.
While we're talking in the early, I'm editing the description notes down below to include the flow that I originally had for this week because I moved last week's to this week and I realized that's not going to work with the way the intro was. So.
Right.
This week's flow of the show is Nathaniel Fort, brought to us by James Kaiser. And if you would like to check him out, his link is in the description below, and I will post it in the chat. So please enjoy Nathaniel Fort.
Woo.
And as you can see, the information at the beginning with the name was incorrect. So I do apologize for that, Nathaniel Fort, because next week's is going to be Flow Me's, which is a pretty epic. The video they sent is actually them on one of those Got Talent shows, but for the country they're from.
Wow.
And so it's pretty cool. Flow Me's is one of my favorites.
On before, haven't we?
Yes, we have, and it's been one of my favorites that we've had on. They're pretty high production, and they're usually very well filmed. And this one's from a public show, not public, like a cable show in a different country that's very well known, like America's Got Talent, British Got Talent, whatever. Anyway, so thank you, James Kaiser, very much for producing that flow, Nathaniel Fort. If you'd like to check him out, his information is in the description below. I did also post it in the chat.
Yes.
Now, it is time for the main event. Would you like to introduce our guest?
I would like to introduce your guest, but before I do that, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by Kyber Cave. Remember that we are coming up on Black Friday, and we have a lot of specials. They should be up on our website soon, but we are going to have 10% off on NeoPixels because we have incredible prices on those anyways. 20% off on RGB sabers, and our big special is going to be 4 beginner sabers for $200. That's right, you get a pack of 4 sabers for $200. So everybody in the family can beat the hell out of each other. That's exactly what we need for the holidays.
That sounds so exciting.
Make sure to head into the store for your Black Friday and all your holiday needs, or head over online. That promotion should be up hopefully by tomorrow or by Tuesday. So check that out. And Night Vision, we got your package coming through. I have literally 7 cases coming in right now. 7 cases of sabers, and there's some emitter parts that we're waiting for one of your sabers. So we will get that handled, my brother. All right. So, with no further ado, our guest tonight comes by way of this gentleman right here, Mr. Kevin Hogan. We were going to have Kevin on. We were talking to Kevin. God, I don't know. God, I think this all started about 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. We had a dropout. I had talked to Kevin. Kevin wasn't available, but he had suggested this gentleman who graciously just was going to be able to come on. And then the show wasn't able to happen. I don't remember what exact everything. Life just moves on like that. At any rate, if you have seen this gentleman's cosplay, you will be absolutely amazed. You'll get to see some of his photos here. He is very, very talented. I'm going to be excited to find out if these are ones that he puts together himself or things he goes to Temu and gets behind our back in the middle of the night. Kind of adds his own little touches. But with no further ado, please give it up for Mr. Matthew Madden-Smith.
Hey,
Oh, hello.
how you doing today?
I am absolutely beautiful. How are you doing, Mr. Matthew?
Fine and dandy like sugar candy.
Man, you got quite a prolific set of costumes there, and they're not all half bad.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I think there are a lot of, in the cosplay community, I'll be honest, there's so many more talented people than me. I'm very blessed to be part of such a wonderful, passionate community. So.
Well, you know what? I think talent comes in so many different ways, especially in this community. Your buddy Kevin Hogan there, he's one of the longtime friends of this show, and I remember doing the first interview we did with him. God, this show's been running for 4 years now, so you can. The first interview we did with Kevin, he was telling us about the art of going to thrift shops and just putting things together, and it doesn't have to look exactly like it as long as people can get the idea of what you're doing and you're enjoying the process of doing it. So,
100%.
You can be a master in lots of different ways. But you, my friend, so tell me about those costumes that we saw there in the intro. Are these things, first off, are you a maker as well as a wearer?
I wish I could say that I'm a maker. I think everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. Yes. Especially in this cosplay community. For me, unfortunately, I wish I could be good at that. I have my own business though, and I have to run that. And so I often excel at finding things and finding people who are really amazing at making things. And if there's anybody who ever wants to go and do cosplay, what I can say to you from the depths of my heart is don't let anything stop you. Enjoy it. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be amazing. Just do it because you love it. And for me, what I found was the best way, if people like the cosplays, if people like my costumes, what I would say is broaden your horizons. Don't just, Temu's fine. Easy cosplay is fine. I would say with the tariffs coming up and all the trade stuff, you might find that those prices might start spiking a little bit. And it might be those
as cheap as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's not going to be quite. So if you're going to go get a cheap costume, get it now before China starts getting taxed a bunch. And those, because they're probably going to they'll about double in price. So, but I would say is that, the more that you find somebody and the more that you go to different conventions and you go to different events, you can actually find a bunch of beautiful things out there. So for me, it was about searching on Etsy, but also searching in Renaissance fairs, searching at the Dickens Fair, which is something that happens in the Bay Area. It's all just like Victorian England time. I actually picked up a really nice leather coat there. But that's often where I've been able to find a lot of my costuming is just across everything, not just going to a convention.
is it that you let a costume find you, or you go find the costume? For example, do you go to these things and go, oh wow, that's a great jacket, I'm sure I'll figure out a use for it? Or is it the other way, like man, I've been thinking about doing it, Indiana Jones's dad, and oh my god, I just happen to see the perfect tweed jacket as I'm going through. What is is it one way direction or both directions?
Both, actually. I find that if you're really looking for something, if you want to spend hours just searching online, eventually you'll find something.
Right.
If you have the patience, I spent recently, like I said, I'm going to go to the Dickens Fair, which is Victorian England. I spent about 4 hours trying to find fake Victorian currency so I
Right.
can give it out to people whenever they see me or they give me a hard time, because I'm basically going to dress like a Victorian thug.
Right. Right.
But sometimes if I really want something, because there's so many amazing IPs out there. There's so
Oh
many
yeah.
amazing like for instance, they're talking about going to Galaxy's Edge, which I think is
Yes.
great. I actually got this from the Disney store to go as Senator Bail Organa, and a friend said I should actually go as Balin Skull because I looked a lot like them. So at that point, I actually had a maker, a friend of mine. They're called Celtic Dragon Leather. I actually met them
Hold
at a
up.
Ren fair. Oh,
Hold up really, really quick. Hey, Mets. I don't know if you can hear me in the background there, but I want to do something a little different in this segment. I didn't give you any heads up because that's how I love to keep you on your toes as a producer. But every once in a while we're talking about things, if we could throw up the photo, I don't know if it's possible to throw up the photo or the. I know we saw it in the intro of the Balin skull. And I'd like to be able to go. Oh, yep, there we go.
there we go.
If we have the other photos, I'm going to ask you about some of those too. Tell me about this
Sure.
picture.
So that was during May the 4th Be With You. That was
Yes.
in Golly Gee Willikers. Let's see. That was the birthplace of the
Oh,
founder of Star Wars. So, they do every year in his home city. They go out there and Modesto and
right.
host it. And me and my friend actually went there a Twi'lek, and I went as Balin Skull right there. I actually grew out my beard for the first time in my life and whitened it as much as I could. And yeah, what is
That's
that?
absolutely fantastic. How long did it take you to get all of those pieces together? Hey, Mets, I'm sorry. I'm doing a terrible job. I was trying to flip us around because they had the photo in the middle, and I was like, oh, he's much prettier than I am. So I was trying to get his bar on that. Sorry.
How dare you?
I'm just messing this whole show up for my producer. She, this is what she
I
gets for her
mean,
birthday present.
nothing better than forever curveballs, I guess. So
It just keeps
No,
me on my feet.
your costuming is fantastic, and I was gonna ask you about like how accurate is that? Like, are you like one of these perfectionists like 501st types where you've got to have every stitch and every seam and every color's got to be the right gradient, or are you more towards the as long as it's very similar and it gives you the idea of what I'm doing?
well, I think I'm lucky enough to look just fairly similar to the actor's face, which is why my friend said I should go as them.
Right.
But I mean, I think if I'm being honest, for me, I think it really depends on how much passion or care I care about that character.
Right.
So often I get a lot more finagly about stuff. So when I go to the Renaissance Fair, I have these angel wings that open and close, and I have this chain scale mail and everything. And that one I've been very much more meticulous about. But yeah, that one right
Oh,
there. And
I love you, Mets. Thank you. Yeah,
and
that's
so
fantastic.
yeah, I love it. And I even have a pot helm and everything else like that for that one. But that one I was a lot more particular for the Balin skull. I'm working with these makers, and they're all so talented and so amazing. And so I do say, hey, could I get it this way? And sometimes it's not exactly how I want it, which is
Right.
fine, to be honest. And if I really care enough, I know every single thing that's wrong, and I can go and get something later to like balance it all out. But that one is pretty close. The only things that aren't 100% are the bracers are leather and they're great, but they're not exactly the bracers that are correct, and I don't have the correct belt buckle. So,
All right. Do you have the correct lightsaber? That's the part that that's the one that I always look at first. Is the lightsaber?
I do have the
correct?
correct lightsaber.
Okay. You get a pass. You get a pass. Nice. So, do you you were talking about getting a feel for the character, having a feeling about them. Do
Yeah.
you are you like when you go? Oh, I promise you, I can speak the language. When
Sure,
you
of
go
course.
as Balin Skull, are you Balin Skull? Like, are you like an actor getting into the mindset of the character and deepening your voice and walking like Balin would walk? How much into it do you get, and how much of yourself is there?
How much in character am I?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Uh,
She's been working with me for 2 years now. She knows that
yeah.
my brain doesn't work.
The answer is it really depends on the day. Cons, conventions, Yodo convention, I mean, sometimes it is, but the bigger ones, it's rarely one day. So
Yes.
day one, I might be like, yeah, I'm going to totally be jazzed to go as this character and really into it as much as I possibly can. By day four, I'm like, gosh, doodly dart, and I'm so tired. I don't want to deal with any of that nonsense. And
Wow.
often that point, I will pick a character in my repertoire that is a lot more like maybe I'll be Doctor Doom, so it's just a huge mask
Right.
over my face, and you don't have to have facial express. I mean, body language is key when you really want to
Right.
pose off of a character, but for the most part, it kind of depends. If I'm the Penguin, because I go as the Penguin occasionally,
Right.
that one I'm much more in
That was
character.
a
So
fantastic. I saw that. I don't know if that was in the intro, but I remember seeing that somewhere. That Penguin is fantastic.
thank you.
I remember in the beginning of Kyrie Cave, we used to do like birthday parties and things like that. And like I've always been Sith. I've always been attracted to the dark side. Red Blade for life, baby. At any rate, I remember being told at one birthday party that I needed to be a Jedi because I was too happy to be a Sith. So I need to take more lessons.
Well, if I'm being honest, actually, most of the cosplays that I have are villains more than they're
Right.
heroes. And I think for two reasons. One, everybody wants to be the hero. So everybody wants to dress up as, Obi-Wan Kenobi or Luke Skywalker. And granted, everyone wants to dress up as Darth Vader because they're freaking badass. But, I always feel like a good villain is a really good foil. And it's also more likely to not be done by other people. So
Mm.
that's why I ended up kind of gravitating more towards villains in my own cosplays.
Right. I want to back up a little bit and say there's because I don't want to give any misinterpretation. However, you decide to get in, and I don't mean you specifically, Matthew, but any of our
Yeah,
viewers decide to get into the cosplay community, whether it's
yeah,
something you make yourself, whether it's something you go thrifting for, whether it's something you hire somebody else to do, all of them are excellent ways. All of them are completely valid ways to get in, as long as you come into the community and you're enjoying yourself and you're respecting the rights of others to enjoy themselves.
yeah.
More power to you. It's been absolutely amazing to me. The more cosplayers I meet, the more different reasons I find that people do it. It does different things for different people, and it's never the same thing twice. What is it that attracts you to cosplay?
Well, first I wanted to say that there was a comment that said, and no gatekeeping. And I really do think that's also extremely important. When I was first early starting out in cosplay, there was actually a lot of gatekeeping with the group that I went with, where
Can
they
you
would be
really
like,
quickly?
okay, I called dibs on this. Hmm?
Can you tell the audience who may not be familiar with what gatekeeping? I know what it is, but
Oh,
some
yeah.
people that are watching may not know what that means.
So gatekeeping is a great term for a horrible thing. So, and thank you for asking that. The idea of gatekeeping is really just what's the correct way. And that can range from a whole bunch of different things. So, for instance, the group that I was with would call dibs on cosplays. And if you went to the con, you had to be with them at all times. You couldn't ever do anything. At one point, I fractured one of my fingers, and I just was like, I'm going home. And I took a lot of grief for that with the group that I used to cosplay with.
You had a medical injury, and they try to give you grief for leaving early.
I mean, it was a fractured finger. It's not like I broke my hand. It was a small fracture, but yeah, I hurt my finger, and I was just like, I'm leaving, and I didn't tell everybody, and apparently that was this gigantic faux pas, and I was just the worst human to exist. Whoop. Sorry, my camera just decided to fall over for no reason. You'll get a different headshot of me. Pain. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, gatekeeping it's the worst. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I do think that what's interesting is when you've cosplayed for a while, for years, even if you don't make your own cosplays, even if you are buying them from the store, and there are gatekeepers who are like, if it's not 100% authentic, it has no right to be X, Y, or Z. Also, gatekeeping can be used as like, oh, you're not you get those people who are really passionate and into an IP, and they're like, have to challenge you for your own right to enjoy that IP. It's like, oh, I love Star Wars. Like, oh, you really like Star Wars? Well, what about this obscure fact about this thing? Like, dude, I just like Star Wars. Like, I don't want to go and sit there and have to like explain some subculture of something. Like, have I seen all the shows? I've seen most of them, like Rebels is great, like I was talking about earlier, but it's like, oh, well, if you haven't done absolutely everything, then it's this big giant problem. And but what I really love about being a cosplayer and going to a lot of different events, and it's not just, it's the Dickens Fair, it's the Ren Fair, it can be any type of fair. Those are all amazing. People can cosplay in those as well. But you get to meet so many wonderful people, so many different people, and everybody has something that they can bring that they can really help you out when it comes to getting better at this. And so, for instance, like for me, I have a friend who's a furry, and they're an excellent human being. They're so wonderful. His name is Chris. Kevin actually knows him as well. And they showed me a different scene. They showed me a different thing. And it's not exactly my thing, but right. I love for what they do it. And interestingly enough, because I wear a ton of really heavy cosplays that don't breathe well. And you can get things Matthew, like, really, you can get like Matthew, a fan.
Really quickly, can you bring your camera down? Sure. You got a lot of headroom up there, so it'd be nicer
to
see your hands.
That's true. Of course.
Go down a little more
if you've got
it, but if not, you're good. Yep, you're good. Thank you.
Just a little drunk. Okay, is that better? All right.
Yeah. That way we can see your
hands. Thank you. There you go.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is, for instance, what I learned is there's a thing called Kika. They're these hand fans. They're just super, super powerful. And for me, when you're wearing a lot of latex or a lot of foam, it's not going to breathe well. You're going to sweat. Right. We're going to wish for death. And so I found that from a friend who was a furry, and that was really cool just to pick that up. And as a way of like
up again.
Extend. They're like a hand fan. They're tiny, right? They're just these little things.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Does that just blow air through? Well, I don't know. I don't understand how that works.
So it's kind of almost got like a turbine in the back.
Uh-huh.
There's there's like a mesh, so it's hard to get stuff caught. Sometimes if people have really
like
long hair, it can go in there. In there, but it's so powerful. If I set it to the max and I can probably give somebody air from about 25, 30 feet away.
Wow.
Yeah, there we go. They're powerful.
Thank you, Mets. So did you wear that like in your costume, or is that to give you air around your body, or what do you do with that? Or just give your face some fresh air every once in a while?
Depends on what I'm wearing. There's a lot of different cosplays. There's a lot of different costuming. And so if the biggest problem when you're cosplaying often is air circulation. Right. And so like, for instance, I was wearing this giant leather coat that's called a coachman's coat. And It's got three like giant leather flaps. and it's about 35 pounds because it's like 2 cow hides almost. And I brought these little fans just to open up. When I went recently, I went to a con called Fandom Con, and
Yes.
a friend of mine had me go to PawCon, and that one was a furry con, and I had those fans and I used them on the people because a friend of mine was like, "Hey, come to me, I'm going to pick up this ticket," and so I did.
Kevin
And it was
right there.
Yeah. And so I used them until I ran out of power, and a bunch of people were like, "Can I take a picture?" Nobody wanted to take a picture of me. I was dressed as Bloodborne. Nobody wanted to take a picture. Everybody took a picture of the fan. Nobody took a picture of me. I thought that was very funny, but it was a lot of fun.
That is nice. I know with a lot of the cosplay, like the people that do the Boba Fett's or the Darth Vader, sometimes they'll put fans in their helmets to keep their heads cooled off. But some of those cons, man. I'll tell you what, during the summertime, I always regret choosing the dark side. I'd always think, man, I should have chosen the lighter colors.
Well, here's the thing. What's really cool about cosplay too is that if you broaden your horizons and you search more and you look more, it's not, cosplay is so inclusive, but there's so much really cool technology out there. Like you can get cooling vests that are just, they're going to be vests that you can slip ice packs down that are going to help cool you off if you want to be the dark side in summer, which, cosplay's pain. So what are you going to do?
That's a good idea. So, do you, and you can answer this or not answer this if you don't want to.
Sure.
Do you have a regular 9 to 5 to feed this obsession, or do you somehow work in the cosplay industry and somehow are you like a YouTuber that makes money off of cosplay, or how do? Because none of this is cheap.
No.
Right. How do you feed your obsession?
Well, like I said, I own my own business. I'm a sports massage therapist. I've been doing it for over a decade. Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I appreciate the question. So I was a sports massage therapist. I've had my own business. I mean, it's just me who does it.
Right.
I'm very privileged and I'm very fortunate in a lot of ways to do what I do and have built what I've built. And so, with having what I have, I've been able to squirrel away a little bit of money every so often to just basically do, find really talented makers, really talented people, and basically be like, here's some money. And they're like, here's a little bit, it'll cost this much. And often I don't like underpaying makers, because I feel like if we want to really respect the industry, we have to respect the art. And so, and so for me, like, I have a really great maker. I work with her often. She's just the sweetest human being ever. And she'll come in and she'll just lowball me. At one point, she was going to make my Doctor Doom cosplay, and she's doing all sorts of amazing stuff. And she just, I had to pay her like about 70% more than what she wanted to charge me, because it was like, look, I want these people to keep staying in this industry and making it a living. So, if you can find somebody and you can find them on the cheap, that's great. But remember that you can probably only get one cosplay from them, maybe two, if you undercharge, because anybody who undercharges is going to eventually be resentful for the fact that they're not being paid to live off of what they do.
Right.
So,
even if they were the ones who suggested it.
Yeah, even if they're the one, yeah. And that's the thing, is like, humans are so crazy, because it's like, the thing is if they're not valuing their work, it's not on them or me to be upset when they don't want to work with me anymore, because it's not within their means to keep making costumes for me.
Because they
because they're not doing it for free. And if you're going to find these people, treat them well, have a good relationship. If you're going to one and done, sure, I guess, whatever. But there's a lot of really wonderful makers out there who have a lot of horror stories about not being treated well. And that always makes me feel really sad, because it's like, look, artists in general, these people are artists, and the art that they do is wearable. It's anime often, and anime is frack-a-lackin' impossible. It's just all sorts of belts that don't make any sense, and basically bras that are just impossible. So we have to respect that. We have to pay them well. We have to treat them well.
Every day anyway.
Yeah.
Yes,
And so it's like,
true. I know when we started this show in 2020 as a result of the pandemic. In fact, this show started because we had to close our doors as a storefront, and it was a way for us to communicate and keep in touch with our clientele, and we just kept it going and kept meeting new people every week. But the oh my goodness, my brain just told. What were you just saying directly before Mets came on?
You're asking me what I was saying? I was okay. Thank you for the question.
I got my train of thought. You were talking about the incredible creators. Sorry about that. I've met so many people and I've interviewed so many people through the show who, before the pandemic, maybe they were servers at restaurants, or maybe they worked at a bank, or didn't necessarily have a job that they wanted to do for the rest of their life. But because of the pandemic, it caused them to become creative, and they started making costumes for themselves. Their friends would see the costumes they were making online and ask them, can you make me this or that or whatever? And come the end of the pandemic, they didn't go back to their 9 to 5. They had a whole new career as a costume maker, because these things aren't cheap. That was the reason why I was asking about your 9 to 5, because especially if you're getting things made. And I'm exactly the same way. I'm one of the things we joke about with our lightsabers when we sell sabers is if you get into saber collecting, you'll never have money for drugs. So because if you
kind of like tattoos,
right?
Although,
but I mean, it's the same with
spending on them.
with the costumes that you're making, because when you go to a very talented person, I know with myself, I've had a couple of the top installers, lightsaber installers. I know that sounds funny, but there are people that are known in the community as doing above and beyond work, and I never ask them a price. I figure if they will even spend their time with me and put me on their wait list, I need to respect the price that they would pay, because they could easily take the next person behind me who will happily pay them more.
I mean, and then also
talent, you have to pay them for their talent, like you were saying.
Well, you also have to be patient, I think, too. Is I find that as much as I love a lot of creators, most of the artists that I've worked with are very good at setting impossible timelines and deadlines. So whenever you meet somebody who's really talented and creative and you pay them well, whatever timeline they give you, probably double it. And so because there's a lot of people who I know say, hey, I really want this cosplay for this con. Like for me, I have a maker right now, and I have a Monster Hunter piece, and I'm having them build me a Palico, because I think that would be a fun little prop to just because it's going to be super cute. They've sent me a few pictures, but they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to add 2 months to that, because I don't. I don't want to be upset with those people. They're trying their best. And a lot of them too, they're perfectionists, where even more so than me. And they're going to sit there and they're going to make that piece, and they're going to go, God, I hate it. I really hate that thing. And they're going to rework it. And sometimes they're going to rework it and they're never going to even tell me. And when they do that, they run behind, they feel guilty. And I just let people have their process. At the same time, sometimes it doesn't always work out well, but I mean, it can be the price of working with other people. So, but don't try to ever do a big piece with somebody you don't know. Start small. Have somebody make something that's a piece of a cosplay. Get a few people, kind of like somebody makes the spear of a thing, somebody makes this, and then you'll kind of know who you can trust and who you can't when it comes to trying to do cosplays. Because if you're going to drop $5,000 on something, That's a lot of money. If you're going to drop $2,000, that's rent for a month. In the Bay Area, it might be rent for a few more months depending on where you live. But that's a lot of money. So find somebody. What I would suggest, if you want to really get into cosplay, and you're like me, where you're blessed enough to have disposable income, you're blessed enough and privileged enough to be able to reach out to these people who are pouring their heart and soul into it. Find a few people. Spread it out. Find the people who are the gems in the rough, because a few people won't be good, and it'll show. But if it's a little bit of money, I'm always willing to walk away from that. It's hard to walk away from $5,000 when something doesn't work out. So
okay, when we start talking about $2,000 and $5,000, we're starting to get into addiction and obsession levels. So let me ask you this: for you, okay, I mean, obviously, when you're spending this much on something, I don't mean to joke about it, but it is up there to the level almost of an addiction or an obsession. Why is it that you put so much effort in? It's kind of like when we were talking with Kevin, right? Kevin says he can go into a thrift store and he can buy a jacket and a few accessories, and as long as he feels like he's close enough to the character and other people recognize him to be that character, that's good enough for him. But you say no, I need to have my paladin correct, or I need to, what is it that makes you want to spend that much time and effort with especially one costume when you have so many costumes already that are fantastic?
Yeah, wonderful. So what I would say is when I was in my 20s, I had no money. I was always poor. I couldn't even, update my car registration. I got my car towed. It was a hard time in my life. And, granted, I'm older now. I'm in 41. I lost a lot of things out in life that I felt like were rough. But the biggest thing that I learned is buy once, cry once. So if you're going to drop money on something and you really love it and you know that you're going to get some good use out of it, if you go cheap, that's great, right? Awesome. But there's a reason why Spirit is very good for what it is. And I've even seen people say this is, I get a one shot. You get a one-shot costume, and that's something you're going to wear once.
Partying tonight.
Yeah. Yep. And I really, like I said, I love makers, but I also, certain cons, there's people who go and repair cosplays for people. Yeah. So if you're, I don't know if San Diego Comic-Con does it, but I've seen it at SAC Anime, Fanime does it. They have a cosplay repair lounge. And, you see a lot of costumes that are a little more on the budgeted side, I should say. And they break down, the stitching explodes. Right. There is problems that you get that are hard to be undone. And the people who are those perfectionists who really want every stitch right, if it's a good stitch and if it's right, it's not going to explode on you. Right, to me, that can be the most painful thing. It can really kill your fun when you're just like, you're out there and suddenly you get this huge rip down your leg. And if you bend, your character is supposed to be hunched, but if you're hunched, you're just flashing people your bits that you shouldn't be doing, or you're showing them your underwear. And at that point, I'm like, I'm going to go home. I'm not going to be showing people these things that they don't want to see. They definitely don't want to see that. And it's so money. Oh gosh. I might get somebody posting a video of being like, this guy is so just, it would not be fun. Yeah, but do you really want to go viral for all the wrong reasons?
Kevin says, I've seen people tear up costumes, reuse them as battle damage versions of the same character.
Yeah, I mean I think that's really smart. But when it comes to me, I love the passion and I love the fun and I love seeing people come out there and doing whatever they want to do. I have seen some of the best cosplays, they spend maybe $10 on it, and they're crushing it. Everybody wants a photo. Right. One guy dressed up as the guy from Tapatio, and he held up a big cardboard thing that was a few years ago at Fanime, and they were killing it, and right. I loved watching them just really crush that. But for me, when it comes to my costumes, when it comes to what I have, I want to pay the people right, and if I'm paying them right, I want something that'll last. You can always get a lot of great shoes, but if you get one amazing pair, they'll last you for years.
Right. How many costumes do you reckon you have?
That's a great question.
I knew it wasn't going to be like 3.
No, it's more than that. Well, the thing is once you kind of get into certain costumes can be
bits and pieces can be mixed and matched to make other things.
Exactly. So it's like how much is like, okay, well, I have a Trevor Belmont, but then I can add that to some other stuff and go as a vampire hunter, or I can take some pieces of that, add the coat, and go as Bloodborne, or I can. So right. I would probably say maybe 12 or 13. I didn't want to go for quantity. I wanted to go for quality.
When you're going to a bigger con, like when you were talking about these 4-day cons, are you trying to do a different character every day? I know some people that literally will change every 3 or 4 hours. They're changing into different costumes. Where do you, on the crazy spectrum, where do you fall? Are you one costume for the whole weekend, one for each day, one for each hour?
I often try to be very tactical with it and feel like, okay, how many people are going to be going on what day? How much effort do I want to take? I know if you go with a lot of big pieces that are kind of cumbersome, that's going to wear you out. And so I generally go easy cosplay, hard cosplay, easy cosplay, hard cosplay. And in that way, I can kind of space it out. But I have a lot of respect for people who are willing to change costumes multiple times a day. The only time I've ever done that was my pants exploded, and I just was like, I had to go and just be like, I guess I'm wearing this 2 days straight. So,
do you have you had to do any traveling, like other than maybe just driving in the car? Have you had to go through like airports and security with costumes and stuff? Have you ever got any crazy looks from like TSA or like some crazy props that you had in your suitcase? Why are you bringing a chainsaw through here?
Well, that's a good question again. The answer is check your bags if you're going to do something like that. I've been to New York Comic-Con. I've been to C2E2. I've been to a few others. And what I can say is the more that you reach out and the more friends that you make, and it's a very wonderful, friendly space for like 95, 96% of the people there. They're just amazing. They're just sweethearts, passionate, just wonderful humans. And if you make a lot of friends, sometimes my thoughts are if you can make a very good one that you can trust, and I have a few, you can send them a package to their door, and then when you fly into the con, you can go pick that up, and that's going to mean that you're not going to have to really ship it or put it on carry-on, and because I've definitely had my bags open up and searched. Yeah, it was rough. Because at one point, you can end up losing stuff, and that's the thing that can be a bummer. Because if you have a really nice leather bag or a satchel, and that gets searched and accidentally it doesn't go back into your bags accidentally, you could be out $80-90 if you have a really nice leather satchel that just soft leather and really well made, or you could box it up,
personal experience,
send it to a friend. Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's rough. I'm sorry to hear that. What is it? It is what it is. So we didn't even talk about this in the beginning, but how long have you been doing cosplay?
Wow, that's a good one, Josh. Gosh, gee gollies. I sound like I'm from the 50s. Anyways, I think about a decade, about 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have
my first cosplay was Bolin. and I had a little fire ferret on my shoulder, and I just remember that was the first group I with. They got really upset because the fire ferret got all the attention, and everybody wanted pictures because of the little prop. And I was like, man, props are little props, man. Ooh, they make the difference.
That's where it's at. I'm telling you, everybody loves the props, man.
Yeah.
And so, do you have in all that time? Do you have like a particularly like a favorite character or one that you're most known for, or that you come back to again and again?
Yeah. My Penguin. I love Penguin. I like Penguin as an idea. And I also, I mean, I can't get into too much detail, but I think Batman's a villain in real life. You take a billion. Yeah. You take a billionaire who takes weaponized technology and knows that the system doesn't work. And there's a lot of mental health problems. And he's created a lot of villains. He's created a lot of his nemesis. And, I don't think Penguin's necessarily a great human being, but I mean, I do think there would be a reason why when you get a messed up place where things aren't being solved, sometimes you can get a strong man like Penguin winning mayor of Gotham when he shouldn't be.
I feel like we should be taking this to a different podcast and doing a deep dive on the psychology of Batman and him. This sounds like a great topic, my friend.
Yeah. It's an interesting one.
Quick, we don't happen to have a picture of the Penguin, do we? I know I've seen it somewhere, but I didn't know if it was in the no. Okay, sorry.
It might not have been.
Yeah, you have absolutely fantastic cosplay, and I was amazed when I got a chance to look through them. Do you have? Are you? Do the cosplays come to you, or do you actively like? We had talked about the pieces of cosplay, right? But now I want to know more like when an idea comes. Is it just like you're walking down the street and you see something, you're like, oh my god, that would be fantastic at it. Oh, there we go. That looks fantastic. There's your Penguin.
With Lady Domitrescu, it looks like.
Yes.
From Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, she's not as tall here.
No.
Yeah.
Took off her stilts.
You're all into it too. Do you? We were talking about pieces of clothing and stuff like that, and characters coming together. But like for instance, right now, are you ever like, oh man, I really want to do this character. After I finish this build, I want to start thinking about this and letting the pieces come to me from the universe, or are you just kind of chill with what you got until something finds you?
I think with cosplay, a lot of people talk about it like tattoos. Once you get one, you suddenly want a bunch more. But for me, once I did my first cosplay, I wanted to do, I did Bolin, then I did Penguin, then I started going more and be like, wow, there's so many of these beautiful, wonderful characters that I just love in a lot of ways. And I love their character and I love the way that they're portrayed. And now I'm kind of reaching the end actually of my journey when it comes to cosplays for now. Oh. I'm sure there's going to be other moments where I'm going to want to do that. But for instance, like the only most recent thing that I wanted to do recently was I went to the Renaissance Fair. There was a person who was like, "You're not period appropriate." Gatekeep. And that really annoyed me. So I actually reached out to one of the makers that I have who's amazing at their Renaissance pieces. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to do a full Knights Hospitaller outfit, period appropriate. Everything's going to be as period appropriate as possible, just so I can be a little petty. But beyond that I gotta figure out my next one. Yeah. Oh, they did. They very much did. It's just, well, it was more just their attitude of you don't really know anything. And when it comes to gatekeeping, and as somebody who's experienced it, I have to say, like, let people be what they want to be. Respect their lives. Respect how they want to have their passions. Because there's so much beautiful in the world. Why yuck on someone's yum? They're having a great time. It's not for us to judge it. As long as they're not really hurting somebody. Let them be them. Right. Let furries be furries. Let cosplayers be cosplayers. Let people just love what they want to love and realize that there's so much beauty in this world, and we're so blessed to be able to enjoy the moments that we can enjoy, and there's also going to be some rough moments. We got to accept it, to
Those
move
are
past it.
profound words for life in general, my friend. So we're running a few minutes over. Is there anything that you would like to leave? That was actually an excellent place to end, except for I didn't tell you we're ending. But is there anything you want to impart on to people? Maybe people that are new in their journey of cosplay. Is there some words of advice that you could give to people that want to get into this?
Remember that consent is super important. I know that you can get passionate about a character, about what you love, and it shows what you both love together. Cosplay is about connection. It can be about community. Respect those doing it, and never lose heart. Never be down on yourself. Whatever you decide to make, whatever you decide to purchase, whatever you decide to love, that's beautiful. And don't ever lose hope. Don't ever lose something. And remember that if somebody's telling you you can't do this or you can't do that, or I called dibs on this character so you can't do that, maybe find somebody else to do that with.
Right.
Don't stay in a group that's not making you happy. You should never. Cosplay is not, unless it is your job, which is perfectly valid. If this is not your job and you're doing it for the love and passion that you do it for, it should never be as stressful as your job. You should never have to cry. You should never have to feel hurt. It's like going and watching a movie. You should never be stressed going out to watch a movie or to pick a meal. And if that's the case, like, you're caught up in something really toxic.
Right.
And just let yourself love whatever you want to love. Let yourself do it however you want to do it. And don't ever let anybody tell you anything different. And beyond that, broaden your horizons. There's so many things out there in this world, and technology's moving so fast that the more you look for stuff, you can find all sorts of wonderful things that can make your life in cosplay a lot easier. And it doesn't have to come from just that cosplay community.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Matthew, I have had absolutely an amazing time talking.
Oh, thank you.
Your cosplays are amazing, and you're in the North Bay, so I'm sure I'm going to run into you at a show.
I look forward
you were
to
at
it.
Fandom. I was at Fandom as well. I had a booth.
Oh, yeah.
At Fandom, so
I actually saw your lightsabers. I walked by. I was dressed in a Bloodborne at that time, so all leather.
I was gonna say it's very possible, but we did.
Yeah.
Yay! Well, next time we got to talk more.
Yeah.
All right, especially now.
And by the way, thanks to both of you hosting this. Thank you so much for having me come out here. I know it didn't work the first time, and thanks to you for everybody who's watching. You're all wonderful, amazing people. I'm so happy that you took the time. I hope I didn't make it a snooze fest, but thank you so much.
Well, I think it's very encouraging to see different people in the community, different people that do cosplay and how they do it. You obviously put a lot of time, love, and effort into your cosplay, and I appreciate you for doing so. So I will see you out there on the road, my friend.
Have a good one.
All right, let's roll that video. Those costumes are incredible.
Yes. Matthew, you are far from boring, and I love your 1950s Golly Gee Willikers moments. So I loved it. So I thank you for coming on the show. Looking forward to seeing more of your epic cosplays at cons, Kevin Hogan said. It'd be great to see you on December 6th. So that would be kind of cool.
Woohoo! December 6th, yes.
Yes.
Laser light show and open and night market and car show.
Yes, and car show. All that, and laser light, all that awesome stuff. All right. So, guys, our next segment, as you know, is one I make that I enjoy. The change I made from Guess That Saber to Guess That Character. Because I
this
think
is so hard. You
the characters are harder. Oh, good. I want to make you cry, Van. Of all those times you've done to me where I have to think fast on my feet. This is for you. All those times.
I didn't know it was punishment. Why are you punishing everybody? All right. So I have to say with the lightsabers, At least, and I know that, because I'm around the Sabers more, it's more, but they feel more distinct. Some of these shadows and silhouettes, I'm like, how in the world am I supposed to guess? Unless it's like a distinctive outline, like Boba Fett, or like a Tauntaun or something like
what
that.
What if it was Jango Fett instead of Boba Fett? They don't all have the same outline. See,
you want to pick a whole culture of people that have exactly the same head.
And we saw Jango Fett at Galaxy's Edge as well, walking by.
Right.
So, all right. So first, here is the first character. Who is this?
Oh.
Put it in the chat. Van, you can write it in the private chat if you're too embarrassed to get it wrong. It's okay. Django has no antenna. Yeah, I do know that. It's more like they're so close that people don't always realize that.
Okay.
Okay. The answer is actually Admiral Akbar, not Admiral Akbar's kid.
Oh, I put his kid.
So Admiral Akbar,
his kid looks like a squid.
He was a veteran Mon Calamari soldier and strong revolutionary leader during the Clone Wars. It's a trap! With the Galactic Civil War, the Cold War, and the war between the Resistance and the First Order. Throughout his 60 years of service, Akbar was regarded as a brilliant tactician. Akbar was later present on the bridge of the Resistance flagship, the Radis, when the Resistance evacuated from Dakar. But he was killed when the two First Order TIE SF space superiority fighters, as well as Kylo Ren's TIE silenced, attacked the ship after it exited hyperspace. So rest in peace, Admiral Akbar. But many people know Admiral Akbar as the "it's a trap" guy.
It's a trap. Can I interject a cool piece of trivia for that?
Sure.
So when they were filming Return of the Jedi and Admiral Akbar was brought on set as the admiral of this invading fleet or whatever, a lot of the cast members didn't like Akbar and said he was too ugly. And the producer at the time said that he fought for Admiral Akbar because he wanted to show that it didn't matter what you looked like, that everybody was equal in the rebellion. So whether you were ugly or you were handsome, you were still respected and loved in the rebellion.
There was no fighting for him because he wasn't ugly. It was just fighting for him to show that uglies were also equal to the beautiful.
That's right.
Okay,
and
got the message.
His son ends up being in the Force Awakens and the whole next trilogy or whatever. So the Akbar name lives on.
And in Rise of the Resistance ride at Disneyland, a Mon Calamari species lieutenant actually starts your mission off. I'm excited to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it all now without the pictures and stuff. So I just got home at 6:45 last night, and so I was like, I ain't gonna be able to do all that before tonight's show. Sorry. All right, your next character to guess. Who is this?
I'm gonna say okay, hold on.
And yes, he has Admiral Akbar was killed off sadly. We shall miss him. Van's writing who he thinks it is. You are incorrect.
Oh.
Now cry for me!
It's her kid.
No.
Oh.
Sia's Navel is correct. Bo-Katan.
Oh.
Yes. She was a Mandalorian human female princess born into the house Chris. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I tried to look it up, but whatever. And was the Mandalore during the New Republic era. She encountered Countess Ursa Wren and Sabine Wren of Clan Wren, who were seeking a Mandalorian worthy of wielding the Darksaber and claiming the title of Mandalore. With Wren's approval, she took the weapon and rallied the support of several Mandalorian clans, uniting them to fight against the Empire. However, her support was not universal. as she had accepted the Darksaber as a gift instead of winning it in combat. And that you learn more a bit about that during Mandalorian when he meets Bo-Katan and like how you're supposed to be won during combat. Her rule proved to be short-lived when the Empire managed to lay waste to Mandalore and its people in the Night of Thousand Tears, with her additionally losing the Darksaber to Moff Gideon, and that's how we also see Moff Gideon in Mandalorian with the Darksaber. In the aftermath of what came to be known as the Great Purge, she formulated a plan to reclaim the weapon from the Moff, as this paper says, and return to Mandalore. She eventually would reclaim the Darksaber after saving Din Djarin from an unidentified cyborg in the ruins of Mandalore, where she managed to bring back some of the scattered Mandalorians under one banner to reclaim their home world. When they arrived, she discovered survivors and an Imperial remnant stationed on the planet. They eventually defeated them, and she eventually relit the Great Force, signifying the Mandalore's reconstruction. So that is your guess that character for this week.
I had said Sabine Wren, so I was.
Yeah, go ahead and cry.
I mean, it was a female.
Yeah, it was. Wow, so like it's only a couple females. Go ahead and cry for me because you got it wrong. You got both wrong. You got both wrong, Van.
Hey, you know what? I was super close with the Admiral Akbar's kid thing, though. Come on, man.
You were close. You were close. I'll give you a half. You got a half a point for that. Okay.
Oh, man. How the hell am I supposed to tell one octopus from another?
I like Kevin said, the Mando lady from Mandalorian. Well, there's also the Armorer. She was a Mando lady from Mandalorian. The Armorer. She's absolutely amazing. I love her.
And I'm sure some of those kids under those helmets were female.
I'm sure. And she was also very demanding. I loved it. Okay. Anyway, like demanding presence, like a commanding
I was wondering, if you were Mandalorian and you had twins, would your twins have to have like the same looking helmet and same like armor and stuff?
There'd just be a 1 and a 2.
How would you tell your kids apart?
A 1 and a 2. That's it. Just mark 1 and then mark a 2, or whatever the equivalent is in the
Mando
language.
1, Mando 2.
Yeah, exactly. In their chest armor says it. Mando 1 and Mando 2. I'm with Mando.
I'm with Mando.
Yeah. Actually, you saw Din Djarin as well with Grogu. They said hi real quick. But actually, one of my favorite is I actually got to meet. I'm not going to put this in the video. So a friend of mine, for those who don't know, I am a community helper on the staff for the Phasmophobia Discord for the game Phasmophobia. And one of the friends in there who's on staff, he's from India and won't be able to go to Disneyland. And so I printed a poster that says hi to him. And it's very Star Wars themed and everything. And unfortunately, after the first day I brought it, they no longer would allow us to bring it into the park. But I did get to take it one time in and get a picture with Darth Vader.
Oh, wow.
And it was a meet and greet where he was in his own room and everything. And he was in front of this model, like not a huge model, like life-size model, but it was like a 3D model of a TIE fighter, cardboard, a poster thing. And so we got to take a picture with him, and he talks to you. And my husband was just like, I wonder if they had James Earl Jones like record phrases to be able to play. And because when they speak, it's James Earl Jones's voice, but you don't know if it's like a voice changer technology you're not aware of, or it's pre-recorded phrases that could be responses to things that you ask.
Right.
Like it was, told him about my friend, wanted to take a picture, and he goes, the Empire appreciates acknowledges your support and will grant to this request or something like that. It was pretty cool. That was one I really liked. That's the only Star Wars character I got to get a picture of with, because so many kids were surrounding them, and I was in my wheelchair. For those who don't know, I have some issues with my knees and ankles, and on the third day, like the last couple hours, my knees were just starting to give out so much that I had to just start
rolled right
using
over him. There's no excuse at that point.
I'm not going to roll over children, Van. This is a family show.
You could have Anakin them.
Goodness gracious. All right, guys. Well, I want to tell you before we go with Talk of the Town to end out our evening, don't forget that December 6th, we're going to be appearing at a laser light show at the Sunrise Event Mall in Citrus Heights from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
And David.
Yes, you can meet Metz and Dave Meisner.
I want to let you know for next week we have an exciting guest you have not seen on the channel in a little while and has been requested by a few people. Mr. Gary Ripper. He is one of the original hosts of this show. He will be on the show next week, letting us know what is going on with him. We recently had his better half, BYO, on here recently, so we'll now get to find out about Ripper Blades and what is going on with them. Yes, I also want to remind you, do not forget, somewhere in either December, although Metz and I haven't talked about this, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a thing, but I think we're only going to have 2 shows.
I love it when you bring things up to me and not tell me.
I know, on air. By the way, this is how it's going. I assume we're taking Christmas and New Year's week off. We'll probably take 2 weeks off at the end of the year as little family time and vacation. And I'm sure you're not going to object to that. But do not forget, we've got Adasa from Encanto. She is Dolores. She will be on the show either in December or early January. So make sure to tell all your friends about the show. Make sure everybody you know is subscribed to the show. Our goal is 10,000 subs. I'm putting it out right now. I'm putting it out in the air. I'm putting it into everybody's heads. We will have 10,000 friends while viewing this channel. Hopefully we'll have that many viewers. But 10,000 subs by this time next year. And we will continue to grow. We're going to have a lot more great content for you. We still got Aubrey's show coming up. I'm hoping Aubrey will be there on the 6th, but we'll have to see.
We will have to see.
It would be lovely if Aubrey and Anthony came out.
And it kind of works out about not filming New Year's, Christmas and New Year's Eve, because today was a birthday present from my mom. It was a very big surprise I was not expecting. So the day after Christmas, my kids fly out with my mom to see my sister in New Jersey. And I recently went to New Jersey. And I had loved to have gone for Christmas, but it was just like it just wasn't going to work out financially or whatever. But that ended up being a lie, because it was actually that my mom had already bought a ticket for me.
Oh, wow.
And so today when I got my birthday present from my mom, it was a wallet, but inside where the ticket emailed to go see my sister. So the day after Christmas, I fly out with my kids and my mom to go see my sister and her family for Christmas and New Year's. And so we'll be there for like a week and a half. I'm very excited to go. And be able to and she's taking off some vacation too, like a few days after we get there. So we'll be able to hang out a bunch. I'm really looking forward to that. So guys, also don't forget that we have Graveyard here on our channel, who's been doing Retro Alcove, bringing it back bits by bits, and we're very excited. But we also want you to tune into his channel. They mostly plot out at night. Mostly, you can actually find out about that show at the bottom of the description. We have links for 3 of our hosts. One is a former host, we also known as Forrest, but he is actually Ron. If you can find his Fiverr at the bottom of our description. He's actually a professional voiceover artist now. You can also find
he's the man to contact.
Yes, he is actually fantastic. I love listening to his stuff when he sends us samples. And then we also have Graveyard's link to his show, and then Aubrey has actually got some music on Spotify that you can also listen to that I linked at the bottom of the description.
We are very lucky to be surrounded by very talented producers. What's really cool is a lot of the producers that have worked on this show, either now or in the past, have been excellent in other things they did. Some of you may or may not remember, we had John Michaels was a producer on this show, or was a host on this show periodically for Kyber Cave After Dark. He was actually an actor in Squid Game. He was one of the VIPs in Squid Game. He was an infrequent host on this show as well.
Yes, he's also pretty prevalent in some Korean pieces.
A lot of Korean K-pop love dramas and things like that. Oh, and action movies and stuff like that. Super cool guy. We love John to death.
Yeah, John is adorable. Love him.
Dave, who you will meet on the 6th, was a former producer on Kyber Cave After Dark, as well as hopefully Anthony will get out to one of our shows at some point this year. And hopefully we can get some of the old crew back together for new shows. So
that would be fun.
I know I've got some new projects that I don't want to drop anything on right now until they're a little
He'll probably mention them when we're live on air, and I'll have never
right on air. Before. By the way, next week I got a brand new show. Metz, you've got a week to put this together.
Nope. Thank you so much to all of our Patreon members. We appreciate that. Is the best way to support our show. If you would like to help support our show for as little as $1 a month, you can actually do that over at patreon.com/Kyber Cave Productions. You can also visit our merch website at kcpmerch.com, and you can also just do YouTube super chats. That also helps support our channel as well. Thank you so much for being, kybercave.com. We mentioned that one earlier, but yes, kybercave.com, which is the store that is like the mothership of Kyber Cave Productions. So thank you so much for being with us this week, and thank you, Matthew, for being on the show tonight, and thank you, James Kaiser, for giving us the flow of the show. And we will leave you now with our TikToks. Have a nice week.
Have fun. See you next week, guys.